Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody is having a great week. I know it is countdown to Christmas, right? And it's kind of hitting me that I need to do some Christmas shopping. So probably need to get on that. I was reading though this morning in Esther, and something jumped out to me that I thought I wanted to share. Hopefully I can make it as quick as concise as possible. If you know the story of Esther, you know there's a character in there called Haman, and there's a character in there called Mordecai. And Haman was under the king of Persia, and he had actually been elevated to a pretty high spot. The king had, thought he did some good in what he was saying and did a good job of governing his territory. So anyways, he was elevated, and Mordecai was a Jew in the story. And one of the things that made Haman so angry is that Mordecai would not bow down to him. He would not kneel. It said kneel down or pay him honor. And this was something that Haman expected everybody to do. I believe it was even put into a decree or something that Mordecai was supposed to do that. But Mordecai was like, no, I'm a Jew. I believe in God, and he's the only person I bow down to. So he wouldn't do that. And so there's a part of the story. It's actually in Esther 5, around verse 12, Haman was talking. He said he called all his friends together, and Zeresh, his wife. Haman boasted to them about his vast wealth, his many sons, and all the ways the king had honored him, and how he had elevated him above the other nobles and officials. And that's not all, Haman added. I'm the only person Queen Esther invited to accompany the king to the banquet she gave. And she has invited me along with the king tomorrow. A little bit of pride, huh? But all this gives me no satisfaction as long as I see that Jew Mordecai sitting at the king's gate. So he said it in his own words. He said, I've got all this stuff. I'm the only person that gets invited to the banquet. I've got all these sons and all this vast wealth and all this prestige and honor. And yet he was not happy. It says, but all this gives me no satisfaction as long as I see that Jew Mordecai sitting at the king's gate. So he was focused on that fact about Mordecai not bending a knee as he walked by. And I just thought, it just hit me. That's what we do as humans, right? We got all this great stuff in our life, all this, in America, we have cars and we have houses and we have clothes and we have food. We have friends, we have churches, we have all these things, and yet somehow we just seem to focus on the negative, the bad part of our lives, just like Haman did in this story. Because none of that, it says, it gives me no satisfaction as long as and I'm just like, dude, think about what you just said. Like, you've got all this stuff going for you, and yet you're not going to be happy unless this one person kneels down to you. And it just hit me that is the state of the human heart a lot of times, right? We don't look at all the great and wonderful stuff we got going on in our life, but we focus on the negative, and we focus on the one thing we can't accomplish, or the one thing, honestly, he couldn't control this, right? So it's kind of like when I talk to some of my clients all the time about, let's look at what we can control and what we can't control. But that's honestly a different story for a different day. But to focus on the one thing that he didn't have, I just think that's so ironic. And just FYI, in case you don't know the story of Esther, Haman ended up being hung on the gallows that he had created for Mordecai. So, not sure, but thinking one of them was worshiping the true, real God, and Haman was not. He was kind of worshiping himself, honestly. And it was all about what he could gather and what he could, gain for himself and his family and all that. But anyways, short little thing there about focus on the positive, focus on what we do have. All of November, I tried to concentrate on gratitude. And I really think it makes a huge difference in our lives, what we focus on and what we think about. And don't get obsessed with some of the maybe minute things that are bad. And maybe they're big things that are bad. Like, I get that. And we got to think about it, and we got to process it and go through that. But we also need to realize how blessed we are and all the good things that we have going on in our lives, and focus on that too. So, happy Wednesday. Go get your Christmas shopping done. Hope it all goes well out there. Say a little prayer for me as I start. All right. Bye.